Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jumper. Today I'll be reviewing Pokémon Scarlet and Violet, which was released in November of last year for the Nintendo Switch, and this was made by Game Freak. And yeah, this is the latest generation in the Pokemon series, and this is probably the most different Pokemon game in terms of its story, because in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet there are 3 different stories. One of them being the normal Pokemon gym battling and beating the Elite Four and becoming the champion. That's basically a staple of the Pokemon series. But there's also 2 new additional stories. That being Team Star, the Team Star storyline and the box art legendary storyline. And with the Team Star storyline, you basically had to fight Team Star or different various leaders of the Team Star, all of which have different types. So there's one that's fire, fairy, I believe, poison, I believe, and several other types. And then with the box art legendary storyline, you have to find basically these herbs to help regain the box art legendary, depending on which version you have, to their full strength, as well as the person that you're helping has to help out with their dog Pokemon. Well, it's one of their Pokemon that is a dog. I forgot the name of it, but yeah, that's basically the whole story. But in order to find those herbs, you have to defeat various or 5 different Titan Pokemon, which you think is a cool thing. And yeah, I would say this is a very different Pokemon game in terms of story, and also this is kind of open world-ish to an extent, because you can basically just go around Paldea, which is basically the new region for this game, and just catching Pokemon and doing a lot of stuff. But there is a slight way of playing the game, because there's probably going to be a map or an image somewhere on screen of how the game is supposed to be played, I think. But for me personally, I didn't know that until I got quite a bit into the game, and and that, I would say that kind of sucks. I would say that Scarlet and Violet has an order in which you have to play the game, because it would have been cool to actually play through the game and each of the teams or the areas where you fight Titan Pokemon or the gyms level up with you, instead of just, you can't go to this gym because all the Pokemon there are level 55, and you can't go to this gym because it's all level 70 or something. It's something like that. And yeah, I would say that kind of sucks, because it would have been a whole lot cooler if we had actually experience our own adventure in our own way. You can technically still do that, but if you do play the game in your own way, you still have to try and level up, try just to at least have some experience of or some level of, you can actually beat the gym leaders. So try and grind as much as you can. But for some reason, the game, in terms of the gym leaders, you can only level up your Pokemon up to a certain, let's say level 20 to level 25 and 35, that sort of thing, where in previous generations it was up to level 30 or 40, depending on which gym badge you had at the time. And yeah, it would have been cooler if you could have played the game in your own way and everything leveled up with you, and that sort of sense. So yeah, and now it's time for some gameplay. So when it comes to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I would say when it comes to the region as a whole, it's pretty big. I would say this is possibly the biggest region, I would say, maybe. Don't quote me on that. And when it comes to all the different stuff you can do, like the gyms, the Team Star stuff, and the other Pokemon, or the ancient Pokemon, I believe. You can see how many there are here. So with the gyms, you've got done 8 gyms. with Team Star, you've got 5, as well as the Path of Legends storyline with all the ancient Pokemon. You've also got 5, so that means you've got 18 stuff to do. Well, 18 challenges to do, spread up across 3 storylines, in a sense. And the gyms, they're basically the same as they've always been in every other Pokemon game. You do a particular challenge or something, you fight some trainers in the gym, and then you fight the gym leader itself. And I'm going to show you both the ancient Pokemon and the Team Star things, and also like in every Pokemon game, you can find Pokemon, and the Pokemon you just saw is one of the few Pokemon that you can either catch or just grab as a random item, because it can evolve into a particular Pokemon that you'll need a certain amount of coins to collect. And if I can, and okay, and if you press the plus button on your Switch controller, you'll bring up the legendary Pokemon, which is the first thing, because like in a Pokemon series, because you don't normally get the legendary Pokemon of a particular version or a particular generation until towards the end of the game. But even though you don't get to use it until, I believe, after done a lot of stuff in terms of legendary Pokemon stuff. You still get to use it as a sort of faster transport, and I do like some of the stuff it can do. Like it can just glide about the air and stuff, and it can also climb up walls, and also go into the sea, like here. So I think it's quite nice that you can unlock it throughout the course of the game, and it's just and you can't use it until it gets more and more stuff. It can get annoying sometimes, but you just have to I think you have to just try and get used to it. So yeah, let's try and find that ancient Pokemon if I can. No, that's the wrong one. There's another thing. I have gotten the controls confused sometimes. So okay. Reached my destination. I can always come back here and try again. Because normally when it comes to this sort of thing, when it comes to the ancient Pokemon, you normally see a giant Pokemon. Okay, maybe I'll do the Team Star thing first. Yeah, I'll do the Team Star thing first, and then yeah. So where's the nearest Team Star? Aha, there. Yeah, so I'll quickly show you the Team Star thing, and then yeah. And I have to say that this game is quite interesting. I mean, I do like the whole thing, because in the trailers, it was all talking about starting a treasure hunt, which I think is quite nice and quite interesting. Like, experience the way you want to do your treasure hunt and stuff like that, and going out on your own personal journey. So I think that's quite nice and interesting and fun of a game to do, and not just beat the gyms and become champion. It's quite interesting. So yeah. So when it comes to Team Star bases, you will normally fight against a trainer first, and they will always have a particular typing, whether it's that's basically based on the typing of the thing. So I think there's I know there's a fire one. I believe there's also a fairy one, and there's like several ones that's based on different types, or 5 different types, and it's just, I think it's interesting, and yeah, and yes, let's just keep in this Pokemon. So this one is a fighting type. Team. Part of the team. So yeah. So again, you always think of, okay, what Pokemon will I need? What moves will be needed and stuff like that. So yeah. So like always when Pokemon battles, you'll earn money. And I would say after beating the team stars comes one of my favourite parts. And also, if you look at the phone, you can actually customize it, and I think depending on depending on what Pokemon games you've played on the Switch will depend on which customizable phone you get. So if you played Sword and Shield, Legends Arceus, and I believe Let's Go and the Gen 4 remakes, you will get the different phone cases based on those games. So I think that's quite cool. But it's only like, it's okay, I guess. I think it's interesting. It's interesting seeing all of the stuff. Well, seeing that in the game. So I think that's cool. Yes, and you're in this part of. So basically, in this part you get to basically throw out a bunch of Pokemon, but only 3 at a time. And each of these Pokemon just runs about and fights all the other Pokemon. And every single time you have to fight 30. So there we go. Then now this one, and then so yeah. And if I can, yeah, there. And you can see all the battle animations. Like, it's very different, like seeing all the battle animations like in the wild. It's kind of interesting. So I think it's nice. And that means you can just run about and just find as many Team Star members as you can and just fight them. So yeah, it's okay, I guess. It does get a bit repetitive after a while. Maybe I kind of understand why the game went like this, but I do sometimes miss the whole battling grunts of a particular team. But I guess the whole I'm guessing these are technically the grunts, I would assume. So yeah, and it does get a bit repetitive. It would have been cool if we'd seen something new added instead of just running about fighting a whole bunch of just seeing your Pokemon fight. And what I like about this, well, I guess it's okay, is that all of the Pokemon take damage depending on which Pokemon, or I guess which Pokemon you fight in the in the team bases. So I think that's quite cool. Yeah, and you do have a specific amount of time to do in terms of fighting all of the teams, but it's fairly easy. You're given a fairly amount of time, so yeah. And so after fighting 30 grunts, I would presume, of Team Star or a particular base, you'll be able to fight off against that particular base's leader, I presume, and this will just turn back into a normal Pokemon battle. And what I like about this, what I find interesting, is that you get to fight the car after you fight the main leader's main Pokemon. So I think that's quite cool. So yeah, that's what I'm going to show you now. And this, yeah. So let's go with, okay, then headbutt. So yeah, it's interesting because, you know, I think it's quite fine. I think the team style battles, it's interesting enough because they all are distinct, but again, they do have a lot of the same things. Or they have, well, it's interesting. I like it. It's like, I don't know how to explain it really. It's just okay, I guess. I think it's just because I'm used to the normal Pokemon battles, like in Black and White, X and Y, Diamond and Pearl, that kind of thing. Just like, it's okay with when it comes. I think it's it's quite cool to okay when it comes to these games. Annihilate. Right, let's switch. Yeah, let's switch. So yeah, so hopefully, yeah, it's fine. I think, yeah, it's just okay. Hopefully I can, yeah. Hopefully I can show you fighting the car eventually. Yeah, let's just go with Brave Bird again. And I think with the car thing, it's quite interesting, like when you get to fight it, because you don't really see that sort of thing in Pokemon games where you fight a Pokemon that's, I believe, part of a car. So I think that's quite cool and interesting to see, because you don't really see, because like, it's just Pokemon, and it's not really, you don't see Pokemon part that takes part of a I would say machinery. The only Pokemon I see that comes close to this sort of thing is Rotom. Rotom's the only Pokemon I see doing this sort of thing. So yeah, bag. Yeah, it's quite interesting. It's kind of fun to say when I can't talk about when it comes to the car part when you get to fight it. Okay. Hopefully I don't flinch from this. There we go. Now do I get to fight the car? Ah, yes. So now when it comes to fighting the car, the leader won't send out a Pokeball, mainly because the Pokemon's already on the car, so I think that's quite interesting. So let's just heal up. And you can see the health bar is very different, because this acts differently from other, even though it does do the same as Pokemon battles, it's just a boss. It just kind of feels like a boss, really. And depending on which one you face, they'll always obviously be in different levels, and it would have been cool to see the Pokemon, these kinds of Pokemon level up, because you don't really see that in the game. And this game is just these Pokemon gyms and stuff are a particular level. You can't fight it at your current level. And now I'm going to show you a ancient Pokemon fight. So apparently, if you want to fight the Titan, you have to basically just go around and just interact with that particular Pokemon. So yeah, you basically just have to like with a lot of the Titans, the Titan Pokemon are basically big. And I mean, they're basically larger than normal Pokemon would be. Think of it in how I believe, Scarlet and Violet, Legends Arceus, where you see different large Pokemon. Like I believe the larger Pokemon. I think you find larger Pokemon on different areas, or different Pokemon in the areas that you're in, that sort of thing. So yeah, it looks like we have to do the same thing again. So yeah, and also when it comes to this particular one, and because of where this particular Titan Pokemon is, always try and save it for last, because you're in the water, and depending on depending on how many stuff you've got, in terms of your Pokemon, you can, in terms of your legendary Pokemon, you won't be able to do that until it gets either swimming or flying, or both. So I suggest getting both before fighting the level Dragon Titan Pokemon. And you'll also be interacting with Arvin, who will help you within the fight, so I think that's quite cool. So yeah. And yeah, and you get to fight the Titan Pokemon twice. So, and after, when you fight the Titan Pokemon the second time, they will always boost in energy because of the herb, which is needed to help heal the Pokemon Arvin has, as well as the box art legendary that you have, depending on which version you have. So yeah, I think that's quite interesting. And also terrestrialization, if I've got to talk about that. Terrestrialization is basically like Mega Evolution, Z-moves, and that kind of thing. But it changes your Pokemon's typing, and all the Pokemon can do that. So yeah, and they can always become a particular type. So a lot of the time will be their own typing. So for example, Pikachu will be electric, Charizard could be fire, that kind of thing. And like in Sword and Shield, you can find different dens, and sometimes the Pokemon will be a completely different typing. So it could be a fighting type, but it could be when it comes to fertilized, it could become a fairy typing, or if it's a dark type, it could be a steel type. So, like in Sword and Shield, where the possibilities of battling are endless, just because it's interesting, and just how all of these you can use battling to your advantage and that kind of thing. So that's been it for the gameplay. Now it's time to go back to the review. So this game is quite well known for the glitches and bugs that were released on its release, and I would say that there are quite a number of those in the game, but I feel like they have been patched out, a lot of them. From my experience, I didn't get this game until like a while, a bit after the release of the game, and so I don't think I've experienced as much of the glitches and bugs that most people, or a lot of people, did experience when Scarlet and Violet were released. And yeah, you can probably find them all around the internet. When this game first released, of character models not working properly, or Pokemon doing strange things, that kind of thing, and even in the background, like if it's and it's still kind of, from my experience, it does happen. Is that if a person is walking in the distance or something, they'll move quite slowly, and it's not until you walk closer to them that they move normally, and that is a bit of a problem. And maybe in the future there's going to be future patches and stuff that can iron out a lot of these stuff. So yeah, the glitches and stuff are a pain, but I would say that it's still, I think that Scarlet and Violet is still enjoyable. I think, well, it's fine, I guess, for a Pokemon game. It's just there was just a lot of, I felt like this was rushed somewhat for that November release time, because the Pokemon games that I remember over the last few years, I would say, have all been released in November time. If I remember it correctly, I could be wrong. And yeah, it's still enjoyable. I think a lot of the new Pokemon are fun, and especially like some of even the starters. I think the starters are quite nice. I think they're fun, and I do like some of the old Pokemon from previous generations getting new designs, like Tauros or Bishop getting a final form, that being King Ambit, which I think is probably my favourite one. And yeah, I would say it's got some charm to it. The glitches, if I'm getting it right, are mostly patched out and ironed out, but there's still some glitches here and there and bugs that still need to be patched out and just ironed out. So yeah, so that's been my review for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.